There's a simple food sitting in your kitchen right now that could reduce your risk of dementia by up to 50%. And most people throw it away without thinking twice. I know that feeling when you walk into a room and completely forget why you went there, or when you're searching for your keys while they're already in your hand. These little moments of forgetfulness, they're scary, aren't they? Maybe you've watched a loved one struggle with memory loss. Maybe you've seen the confusion in their eyes when they couldn't remember your name. The fear that it might happen to you too. It keeps you awake at night. Here's what most people don't realize about memory and aging. Your brain isn't just randomly forgetting things. It's actually crying out for specific nutrients that most of us stopped eating decades ago. And the tragic part, the very foods that could protect your mind are often the ones we've been told to avoid. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 73-year-old woman who came to me absolutely terrified. She'd been forgetting appointments, losing track of conversations, and couldn't remember her grandchildren's names. Her doctor had mentioned the possibility of early-stage dementia. Margaret was convinced her fate was sealed. After all, her mother had Alzheimer's. Her aunt had it too. She thought genetics was her destiny. But what Margaret didn't know was that her daily diet was actually accelerating her memory decline. And more importantly, she had no idea that changing what she ate could literally rewire her brain. The truth about memory loss isn't what you think. Yes, genetics play a role, but research shows that lifestyle factors, especially diet, can override genetic predisposition in up to 60% of cases. Your brain is the most energy-hungry organ in your body. It uses 20% of your total daily calories. But here's the crucial part. It's not just about calories. It's about the right kind of fuel. Think of your brain like a high-performance car. You wouldn't put cheap gas in a Ferrari, would you? Yet most of us are feeding our brains the equivalent of sugar water and wondering why our memory is failing. The foods I'm about to share with you don't just feed your brain. They actually help repair damaged neurons, create new neural pathways, and protect against the inflammation that leads to dementia. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Dark leafy greens. But not for the reason you think. Most people know spinach and kale are healthy, but what they don't know is that these greens contain a compound called lutein. This same compound that protects your eyes from age-related damage also creates a protective barrier around your brain cells. Studies show that people who eat just one serving of leafy greens daily have the cognitive abilities of someone 11 years younger. 11 years. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between independence and dependence. But here's where it gets interesting. The way you prepare these greens matters more than you might think. Raw spinach in a salad? Good. But sautéed spinach with a little olive oil? That's when the magic happens. The heat breaks down the cell walls, making the nutrients more available to your brain. And the olive oil helps your body absorb the fat-soluble vitamins that your neurons desperately need. Now, let me tell you about a food that most people associate with children's snacks: blueberries. But these little blue gems are actually one of the most powerful brain foods on Earth. Blueberries contain compounds called anthocyanins. These molecules literally cross the blood-brain barrier and accumulate in areas of the brain responsible for memory and learning. Here's what happens when you eat blueberries regularly. The anthocyanins reduce inflammation in your brain, they improve communication between brain cells, and they actually stimulate the growth of new neurons. But there's something even more remarkable. In one study, people who consumed blueberries daily for 12 weeks showed significant improvements in memory tests. Their brains were literally performing better than before they started eating the berries. The key is consistency. A handful of blueberries once a week won't do much, but a small serving every day, that's when you start to see real changes. Now, let's talk about a food that's been vilified for decades: eggs. Specifically, egg yolks, the part most people throw away or avoid. Egg yolks contain a nutrient called choline. Your brain uses choline to produce acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that's crucial for memory formation. Low levels of acetylcholine are directly linked to Alzheimer's disease. But here's the tragic irony. For years, we've been told to avoid egg yolks because of cholesterol concerns. Meanwhile, our brains have been starving for this essential nutrient. Recent research shows that dietary cholesterol has minimal impact on blood cholesterol for most people. But the choline in egg yolks, that has a massive impact on brain health. People who eat eggs regularly have better memory recall, improved concentration, and slower cognitive decline as they age. The whole egg, not just the whites. There's another food that might surprise you. Fatty fish, but not any fish. Cold water fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. These fish contain omega-3 acids, specifically DHA. Your brain is about 60% fat, and much of that fat is DHA. When you don't get enough omega-3s, your brain literally shrinks. Studies using brain imaging show that people with higher omega-3 levels have larger brain volumes and better cognitive function. The difference is visible on MRI scans. But here's something most people don't know. The omega-3s in fish are different from the ones in plants. Your body can use the omega-3s from fish immediately. Plant-based omega-3s have to be converted, and that conversion is often inefficient, especially as we age. Now, let me share the most surprising food of all, the one I mentioned at the beginning, the one that most people throw away: walnuts. But not just any walnuts, the thin, papery skin that covers the walnut meat. Most people peel it off because it's slightly bitter. But that skin contains the highest concentration of brain protective compounds in the entire nut. Walnuts are shaped like tiny brains for a reason. They're packed with DHA omega-3s, vitamin E, and antioxidants that specifically protect neural tissue. In one groundbreaking study, people who ate walnuts daily for 8 weeks showed improvements in memory, processing speed, and overall cognitive function. The improvements were so significant that researchers called walnuts brain food in the truest sense. But here's the key. You need to eat them with the skin on. That bitter, papery layer contains polyphenols that act like a protective shield around your brain cells. Let me tell you what happened to Margaret after she started eating these foods. Within 6 weeks, she noticed that she could remember conversations better. She stopped losing her keys. She could follow recipes without constantly checking the instructions. After 3 months, her cognitive assessment scores had improved dramatically. Her doctor was amazed. Her family was relieved. But Margaret was transformed. She told me she felt like she was getting her life back. The fog in her mind was lifting. The fear of losing herself was fading. But the most powerful part of her transformation wasn't just the memory improvement. It was the confidence, the knowledge that she had some control over her cognitive destiny. Here's what I want you to understand. Your brain isn't a fixed entity that inevitably declines with age. It's a dynamic organ that can be nourished, protected, and even improved. The foods you eat today are literally building tomorrow's memories. Every meal is an opportunity to feed your brain the nutrients it needs to stay sharp, focused, and clear. Memory loss isn't an inevitable part of aging. It's often the result of a brain that's been undernourished for years, but it's never too late to start feeding it properly. Your mind is precious. Your memories are irreplaceable, and the power to protect them is sitting right there in your kitchen. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button for more evidence-based nutrition tips that can transform your health.